welcome back. We're going to talk about cultural literacy, and in order to show you how cultural literacy works, I'm going to talk to you about a current situation in which cultural literacy was not very apparent in the way a very public person is communicating. So we have President Trump, who has taken a lot of criticism for how he communicated in the press conferences that surrounded the coronavirus pandemic. Much of that has to do less with any political feelings that you might have about President Trump, but more about President Trump not having cultural literacy in the field of medicine. So in the field of medicine, we are serious. We really need to be, because we're talking about life and death, and there's an expectation of a certain level of expertise. Lacking that medical expertise, President Trump made some gaffes because his cultural literacy in that area was very low. So if we look at it that way, then it's part of a communication process that President Trump is coming out of a culture that is created by politics. He has cultural practices that come from his work in television and from his work in politics, and he communicates about things through those filters. Then he gets in a situation where the rules of the game have changed. So the cultural guideposts are very different when you're in a medical discussion. Then he has Dr. Anthony Fauci, who people tended to relate to better, because Fauci has cultural literacy in the area of medicine. He knows how to talk to us in a way that we understand to be medical. And so then we are watching Fauci translate Trump's cultural practices and communication into a medical type of communication that most people listening to the press briefings could understand and take seriously as a response to the virus. Whereas when President Trump tried to make jokes, he was not following the cultural practices that would guide you on a map through a medical culture, a culture in which we're fighting disease. President Trump is following a different cultural map. Ultimately, the medical map works to change the way President Trump communicates a little, because you're having the interaction of the communication and the culture. So some of what is still not necessarily working for some of us was that we thought that President Trump was not taking the pandemic seriously enough. And you see that a lot in the news. The news has its own culture as well and expects certain things from communicators. And none of the things that we're doing are looking at this as a problem of communication, of not understanding as well as one should what the map looks like in the culture that you're moving into, because it's an unfamiliar culture. We have seen, if we've paid attention to President Trump since he entered the office, we've seen him try to learn to navigate a different culture. And he's been creating something of that culture as well by the way that he communicates. So this, I think, is a really good illustration of how different cultures come together and the cultural literacy that the members of those cultures have when they move from one culture to another is either helps or hinders. So we're going to stop there for now. We're up to 5 minutes again, and so I'll talk to you later. Bye.